I'm Stuart Franklin. In the 1990s, I came to China to photograph Shanghai and Beijing. It was about economic transition in a range of different ways. I have a picture of two kids blowing bubbles in their front yard, and their house was about to be knocked down, and they were going to move to an apartment on the edge of the city, and the children didn't know about that. In Beijing, the central business district was changing quite dramatically, in that a lot of the old infrastructure, the old houses, whole streets, in fact, were being knocked down. It was quite a disorientating time, furious construction going on in the city. As the economy becomes more capitalistic, what happens is you have more waste. Probably 30, 40 years ago in China, people had less waste because there was less stuff to buy. It was also connected to these kinds of economic changes that were going on in China. People's impression outside of Beijing was of quite a sort of sober political city. So it was quite interesting to see some of these other more colourful aspects, sides to the city. With all the new joint ventures that were opening up in China, there were a lot more Westerners living in both Shanghai and Beijing than before. So what are they going to do in the evening and so on and so on? It was sort of interesting to see that. I remember I spent some time with a filmmaker. I wanted to meet the artist. There was an artist I photographed who had quite a big studio on the edge of Beijing. The only thing I really remember about him is that he beat me very badly at table tennis. I had an assignment from National Geographic magazine to photograph Shanghai. I think totally then about 13 weeks. And we knew about the Pudong new district being built and various things that were going on. There was a bridge being built over the Huangpu River. And I suppose the third thing that was very new to China then was the private commercial enterprises that were beginning, such as restaurants and boutique shops, clothes shops. He was one of the first private restaurants in Shanghai when he opened that restaurant in 92. I remember the sort of sitting at the edge of the catwalk. It was about individualism, beauty. You know, it seemed quite fashionable. Don't forget, you know, it wasn't that long before that, you know, an awful lot of people over 60 were wearing Mao suits. And there is a photograph I took in Shanghai, which is of a lot of people on bicycles waiting at a stoplight. Basically, everybody is wearing the same rain jacket. Never, ever take that picture today. There were quite a lot of joint ventures with foreign companies, and I believe that was a joint venture with Minolta, which is a Japanese camera company. People working hard and out in the morning doing exercises, you know, before going into the factory. And I suppose there's more homogeneity. People are more sort of unified together. There were sort of two sides to Shanghai. There was a sort of old area like Suzhou Creek where people still lived on the river. They were moving coal, moving heavy metal, and whole families lived on these barges. It was like a scene from the 1960s or 70s, you know. You couldn't find that picture today. Yeah. The other thing that was happening then, for me, was really important, was urbanization. An awful lot of people moving from the countryside into towns and cities. It's a very dynamic time. Factories opening up overnight, a successful factory. You had to work with two translators in Shanghai. You know, there'd be 4 or 5 people accompanying me on a lot of the things that I did. So we would go by car. But when I went out, on my own, it was always by bicycle. I haven't been, nearly 20 years. I haven't been to either of those cities. I feel, of course, terribly sad and sorry for the suffering in China over coronavirus. I feel very sorry for what so many people are going through, but I'm sure it will pass, and there will be happier days ahead. And I hope I'll go back one day to these cities.